Please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I will entertain a motion to accept the agenda for today's meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the agenda for today's meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, and as is customary, we share the duties of being the quote-unquote scribe / secretary / note taker for the meeting. Do I have a volunteer for today's meeting?
You did last time, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll do this one.
Sherry, thank you. All right, moving along, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the February 25th meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from the February 25th meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Please note that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public comments. I don't see anybody in the room. Haven't gotten any follow-up, so unless there's something I'm missing, I'll go ahead and close the floor for public comments and move on to the next item on the agenda. That is a review and discussion of the February 2026 monthly, monthly financial report. All right. So if everybody can pull that up, we'll look at the first, as we traditionally do, go through page by page. The floor will be open for any comments and observations, concerns. So you look at the first page. My only comment is, interestingly enough, this is, I believe, the first month of the fiscal year where we had a negative operating fund variance. Not a lot, just a little, but I just think that goes to show you that even with the weather this time of year, we're still doing quite well. Any questions on the first page? All right, moving on to the next page, which is the operating account year-to-date summary. No real changes from previous months whenever we discuss it. So unless somebody has something specific, I think we can move on to the next one.
I do.
Randy?
I can't, I'm not unable to connect to the Wi-Fi, but this is the, I'm not getting any either.
I got it.
I have no internet connection, Dougie.
Not on this,
So I'll look on this machine.
not on this one. I'm sorry.
Well,
Sure,
Yeah.
so recommendation would be to somebody, maybe Bob, you're closest to the door, run out there to the to the front desk and see if Howard or Keith are available, and they should be able to get you guys connected to the internet.
Oh, you guys go ahead.
Well, he needs him to come in here and let him on the internet too. So- and-
Is, you got both of them? Yeah, mine was
Yours is
off,
on,
yours,
because
yeah.
he fixed
We
that.
were all off.
Oh, he fixed it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's why I sent that email earlier about just double checking with the guys to make sure everything in that room was set up okay.
This is the first time I'm able to connect.
We were here early when he set up the computer, so he set mine and Sherry's up. And
All right, we'll go in recess until we get everybody back on the internet so they can look at these reports. Frank, I noticed you're remote too today. Everything okay?
Yeah, everything's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Password.
As you can tell, I wasn't kidding about not being 100%.
Yeah,
today.
right.
They're getting the password for us.
Pardon?
Howard was in here when we got set up.
What you had?
It is, MC Op TV.
Okay.
It's either that one or the other one, which is the other one. Yeah, because that's the one he got me.
He's coming.
Yeah,
In the meantime.
because I couldn't get into the other one.
Caroline,
Here, Timmy comes in.
Yeah, we can keep going.
Randy didn't have any questions on this page.
Okay, since you guys are back, the next page is the operating results. Between any questions on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, something like
Jeez.
that.
All right. Next item is net operating by department.
too.
Nothing jumped out.
Yeah.
Questions, comments?
So this is all like expected because of the time of year.
Yes.
Just the racket sports is looking good. And I kind of related to that about the racket sports. I think March was the month they said they were going to roll out their promotion. Has anybody seen anything about that? Yeah, I haven't either.
No.
No,
Me too.
no, I'm not unaware.
Well, February and March would have affected new people coming in because of the cold weather, I think, and the storm we had. That would have kept everybody away from even joining. So
Yeah.
that might be explaining.
But my question
February.
was about, at our budget meeting, they stated
Thank you, Howard.
that they were gonna roll out a marketing plan in March. I just to hopefully increase membership, and I just haven't seen anything.
Oh, on now. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Sarah.
so I got a couple of items here on, again, on racket sports. It's pretty, we've been talking about that every month, and I would agree with Sherry on this one. Due to the weather and everything, I wouldn't see any major changes going on in that environment. Same thing with golf. We had a lot of, the weather really closed down golf operations. Clearly that affected it because, year to date right now, we're like 32K under where we were last year. But again, that is clearly weather related. I noticed one thing on this report where the aquatics is, and this was 52K short of budget, but yet if you look at their year to date numbers, they're doing better. The actuals, they're doing better this year to date than they were last year to date. So I don't know if that's an indicator of something, but just an interesting observation. And then I'm sorry, I skipped one note. If you guys go back to the this is my bad, to the second page where the operating account summary. If you look at amenities, the net of amenities is 76K, under what was projected for the budget under the revenue side of it. Again, I don't know if that's an indicator or if it's a time of year, a timing issue, just something it stuck out at me a little bit there. I don't think it's any issue per se, because again, it could be timing wise based on the time of year, but maybe we need to keep a watch on that too and just ask some questions. Any other questions on net operating by department? Okay. The next page is the operating summary.
Flowing right through the utilities budget.
Well, I guess I was hoping somebody else would say it before I did. Yeah, if you look at the utilities budget, it's, we know why it was predicted. I know John and his team will certainly manage that the rest of the fiscal year through and going forward beyond that. But 150K, beyond on the expense side beyond budget. So, there's nothing we can do about that. I would say that that's one thing that you would be, as a committee, we would be looking for in the next fiscal year for planning, that the budget number, the budget prediction should obviously reflect the changes in the rate structure of the water.
The other thing is that we might be getting a little bit of a relief there based on how many EDUs we have and how the pricing was done to calculate how much money had to be, was being spent by each.
Mhm.
It was brought up in the commissioners meeting, a week or two ago, that, especially like with, the South Cape Grill and what they went through. And that what they're looking at is they're going to introduce the aggregate of how many EDUs you have versus pricing it just on the first EDU, which will lower it somewhat, but it might be a little bit of a relief, just saying. Something to look at.
Yeah. Did they talk about the EDUs that were assigned to lots only? The lots that like would not have a house on it. They just got a set of mailboxes per se.
No, that wasn't, it was mostly discussed on the commercial because of how they did it with the,
Okay.
multiple EDUs.
Okay. All right.
And since we're a business, and so is, like Southgate Grill, I would look for it to help us as well. Something to look at.
So noted. Any other questions, comments on the operating summary report? All right, next item is racket sports. Randy, any comments from you?
Nope, I've been trained. The only comment again is I haven't seen anything about this promotion plan they were rolling out in March. That's all.
Should, as a committee, do we want to pass that question along to the finance team and ask them about promotions for racket sports?
I think so. That's what they said in the budget meeting.
Okay.
That was their get well plan.
And signups are coming soon, so we should see a big difference. If not, then we'll have to start really watching it.
Yeah, I think, and going back to previous meetings, we said that I think we agreed as a team that we need at least a year's worth of data. There's no sense in any kind of knee-jerk reaction. It could be that this, if the promotion goes and the seasons change and weather gets better, there might be an uptick. So again, I think all we need to do is keep an eye on it, know that it's been an issue, and we won't make any recommendations until we have more data at hand. Anything else in racket sports? All right, next item is aquatics. All right, I'll state the obvious. Utilities are up quite a bit, and we certainly know why. And then one interesting, if you look at year-to-date revenue, from year-to-date actuals for this year, the net revenue, and year-to-date from last year, look how much better we're doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know if that reflects an operational change, more memberships per se, but it doesn't really show in this report. But I just thought that was very interesting, and on a positive note, that the actuals for the net revenues for aquatics clearly about $77,000 better year to date than last year. So interesting.
$1,000 better on net operating too.
Yeah.
Overall, okay, I'll see what he's saying.
All right. Just an observation, and I think they're doing fine. All right. Any other questions on aquatics? All right. Next report, combined golf ops. No comments, huh?
Same utility issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have two. I mean, the year to date, revenue on the net side is down from this time year to date last year. But I think there's two factors here. One is, of course, it's this time of year. But more importantly, the golf course was closed for quite a number of days due to the snow. And I certainly think that, unless anybody disagrees with me, I think that had a large, influence on the ability to generate any revenue since the golf course was closed. So again, not an issue. I think that's one of the things, and again, it reminds me of being on the board several years ago. You can plan as much as possible, but what you can't predict is the weather. Like outdoor events at the yacht club. You go back on information that you've acquired over the past couple of years and make your assessment as what the budget should be. But things could be thrown in a lurch as soon as the weather changes. So I think this is one of those things. Any other questions on combined golf ops?
You see,
Frank?
yeah, just a question. There's a huge amount of work being done over there right now on the 18th hole. Do we know how that's being financed? Is that out of reserves, or is that going to show up anywhere on their reports?
I think that's coming out of replacement reserves, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And I got a question about that going forward. So yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll deal with it at that point then.
Yeah, there's my other question would be, is the bulkhead that's being built around the pond, is that money coming out of reserve, or is that new capital?
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe it should come out of reserve because it was an existing asset. You're changing
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
If I had 300 linear feet and I'm putting in 325 linear feet, does that last 25 linear feet, count as new capital? I don't know. I'm not an accountant.
Yeah.
I'd have to go and ask them,
Yeah,
I would argue that,
there's-
when I put that 300 feet in, it was at X amount of dollars per linear foot. Now
Sure.
it's a different amount per linear foot. So, anyway.
there's significant change in that pond structure. From what I heard, had something to do with it's also going to increase the amount of water that we're going to have available because I'm removing that peninsula that extends out into the pond right there in front of the clubhouse. By removing that, they're going to add so many extra cubic feet of water that they'll be able to use and not get into the aquifer.
Yeah, I
much.
spoke with John. I played golf with him last week, and he said that one of the benefits of changing that around is they're going to dig the pond deeper to retain
Right.
more water for the pumping station right there. So yeah,
That's what I had heard too. So I was just wondering where it was going to show up in the financials.
yeah. All right, I tell you what, let's add that as a question. Okay, got it. Anything else on golf ops? All right, next
But
report.
I
Go ahead.
just have something to go back
Sure.
on aquatics. Just on back on aquatics real quick, is if you notice that year to date last year and this year, the significant amount comes from member dues, member fees, and also swim classes are way up. So I think that whatever they're doing for swim classes is important here.
Mhm. Yeah,
To
Yeah.
keep track, and then, member dues, and to get people in, maybe look at what they're advertising that they're doing for the aquatics in relation, maybe there's some ideas there for racket sports.
yeah. I mean, you're right. Look at swim classes. Year to date is like what, 60K greater than it was last year at this time.
Yeah.
So
So that, just keeping that in the forefront with teachers as well, swim instructors are important.
noted. Okay, back onto the combined golf ops. We finished with that one. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All right, beach parking. Pretty self-explanatory at this time of year. Any questions?
Now, and there
Yeah.
was a news, like a release that went out because there was some confusion on when the beach parking, was available to members, of the beach parking who had passes. There was a question on the passes and whether they were just seasonal so that when the beach club's not open, the pass doesn't isn't valid. But just for everybody, that the passes are an annual pass for these people that have passes,
Yeah.
not seasonal.
I guess I mean, I certainly understand the confusion, but it's pretty straightforward to me. You pay for an annual pass. You don't pay for a pass. There's daily, weekly, and annual. There's no in-betweens.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
It's a good point, Doug. I only know what I read in the paper and, there's talk about the beach club being open to the general public, right? That's under new management, under contract, right? And they're gonna try and expand their operation to make it more profitable, I would think, which may have an impact on that beach parking if they really generate additional volume, what impact it would have across the street, where we rent those spaces out. And it's a thought. I mean, it may not even be an issue, may not even come about, but I think somebody has to raise the question or point out to Taste of Italy that, it's that area of the parking is off limits to them.
Yeah, and that goes back to, I think, one of the things I always try to be very careful about, and that's an operational issue. At the end of the day, the agreement between the third party and our operations group, will sort of handle that situation. I think I just want to look at
That's right, Doug.
at the finance
That's
side of it.
absolutely right, but it does directly or indirectly impact revenue if it has an impact across the street. And they need those parking spaces to keep that operation open.
Oh, you mean the park? Yeah, so the parking lot's over at Secrets. Yeah, we own that property, so it's
I know that.
yeah. So they lease it from us to the tune of, like, I think it's back up to
I
about.
know, that's my point. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying to you.
Well, again, I think that's one of the things where I'd wait to look at operationally, because I don't know how much has been developed yet. So rather than speculate, I would just point out that, hey, if there's going to be any changes you anticipate in the parking environment there, let us know. And if that's got to be a budget item that gets looked at next year, then, we should do that.
So my question comes from the St. Patty's Day thing, when they were going to charge $25 during the season. So it was $25 for non-pass holders, which was where the confusion came in. And then for pass holders, they were free. But everything is based on, availability. So if they're selling spots for during the season, do they allow non-pass holders to come in for a fee? Because if they can, it might be prudent to look at or have another additional line for revenue to know whether it's coming from non-pass holders and pass holders, so we can kind of judge where the revenue's coming from.
Well, during the season, the only people that can park there are people that have annual pass, people that bought a daily pass, or people that bought a weekly pass. There's no general public who will walk in and say, hey, for $25, can I park here? They can't.
So they would have to buy a daily pass.
They'd have to go to the admin building,
right here.
buy a daily pass, and then get up to the beach club to park.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay, anything else on beach parking? All right, next item, next item is marinas. Any questions there? Pretty quiet this time of year, I would expect. Okay, moving on. The reserve summary. Any questions, concerns on that? Okay. All right, capital summary. There's a couple of things here, and I'm going to preface my comment with, I don't see it as a problem, but it's one of those things where when it gives you the autonomy of managing a budget. For example, if you look under aquatics. All right. Under replacement, it was $87,000 and nothing was budgeted. But, it required, if you look at exactly what that was, they needed, a number of things, the new pool deck, the furniture, and so on and so forth. And it came as, I don't call it an emergency, but something that, just needed to be done. And, but that, and then the only other thing that sort of sticks out is the food and beverage of 190K. Again, some of it was new, which is fine because they want to change some things. We'll end up owning it anyway. And replacement, all legitimate expenses, but nothing was budgeted. But despite that, here's my point. At the end of the day, if you look at the grand totals there, we're still $113,000 under budget for capital expenses. So I think that's a testament to the idea of you manage the budget, as efficiently and effectively as possible. It gives you the leverage to look around and say, okay, I can actually do that because, something else that was planned might get pushed off into the next fiscal year through no fault of your own. And so on and so forth. So that's my only comment. So, if people look at it and say, if somebody went up and said, oh, look, they spent $87,000 in aquatics and they didn't even budget anything. Well, there's reasoning behind that. I mean, for those people, I defend the budget because, it's a prediction of what you're going to do 18 months in advance. It's like, okay, you know what? If you can predict stuff, I'm going to give you $10. You can play the lottery for me and I'll split our winnings 50-50. So, So anyway,
One question.
Randy,
Is this where we would see the fire department construction?
it's probably not being reported yet.
Completely demoed.
Yeah. But
When did
again,
that come out?
it goes back to timing. So how about one other question is, would be from the committee saying, hey, where are you going to track the expenses for the fire department? Fire department construction.
Right.
That's a good question because the demo is completely done. So did that portion of it come out of the fire department's budget or are we contributing to that?
Well,
I'm just-
again, it goes back to, I'm not, aware of what agreements were there. In other words, when the money's from, the state, and the grants and everything they got, did that go into the fire department's budget and it's coming out of there, versus, what's starting to come out of, the Ocean Pines budget. So that's a contractual agreement between the fire department, Ocean Pines, and I guess any vendors doing any of the construction. So I don't know the answer to that. So we'll just ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question there, Doug, or comment. From what I know, there are three pots of money related to that. There's our pot. There's also fire department's pot. They had over $1 million related to that, and then the grants. So you got three different pots all contributing to the total cost of everything. So do we get a report on where the pots are coming from, or where, from which pot are they drawing
Right.
for the various phases of the construction? I mean,
Yeah.
do we
Yeah.
need to know that, or are they going to fill us in at some point, or how's that going to work? That's all.
I mean, it never hurts to ask,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the potential answers is going to be bang, bang, bang. Here's how we're tracking it. The other one would be, well, we're still determining the best method to handle the transaction. So, but to me, the prudent thing to do would be to just pose the question and see what the finance team, tells us.
Yeah. Okay.
But with the grants, that would be fire department grants, right? So that would be under the fire department. They may end up just put it under, one total, or they could do a double line, but I don't think that grants are coming from association, right?
No, the grants were
No.
given to the fire department.
Yeah, okay. So we would only want to see basically the two lines, I would think.
Yeah.
Because we're not, the committee for the fire department.
What the fire department spends
Yeah, just as a
Lincoln Pines
total, we would-
contributor
yeah.
came out of theirs, but they should tie together.
Kind of like we did for the memorial, when we did the gazebo, we tracked what they were contributing and what we contributed. It's just an idea.
Oh,
Good question.
so, is it an issue, Doug?
No, not at all. I think it's one of those ones where where does it show up on the financial report? And again, I keep saying this over and over again, how does it affect what we look at as far as guidance for the budget for next year? And at the end of the day, there could be projected cost overruns and I'm just making this up. I'm not saying this is the case, but, and we'd want to handle it in a certain way as part of the, budget for, the upcoming year. Maybe we defer some things out of this year's budget and move it into next year's budget in order to, cover the costs for, this side. So again, managing the budget, sometimes it becomes somewhat fluid. And I think that's where, we need to have a lot of that flexibility to allow the finance department to do whatever they need to do to make sure it works okay. So we can't stand in the way of that. We just kind of, again, more out of curiosity and planning.
I think it comes more into play when the fire department, when we started to get into cost overruns, and the fire department may not have enough funds and will look to us or
Right.
to help again.
Right,
And the supplement of more funds is where it comes into play.
that's right.
Yeah, in other words, planning for a potential threshold or trigger point where, unexpected expenses would have to be covered by the association.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll add that to our list of questions. Again, like I do all the time, I'll list these questions, send them to you, get everybody to, agree. These are the ones we send, and then I'll send it forward. All right. So, any final thoughts on, we were at the capital summary. Any issues there? All right. Moving on. The balance sheet. Nothing really stands out. Okay, next item, cash investments. We're up at 12.4 million in cash. I think this is reflective of kind of where we need to be. Any questions, concerns on that? Okay, and the last page of this report is the membership report. Again, we always pick on racket sports, but I think nothing has changed substantially on this report over the past couple of months. So, any questions, concerns on that one? Okay, we've got one more report to look at. Actually, if you look at the supplemental reports that I sent to you guys,
Yeah,
golf maintenance. They actually spent less than they had budgeted. So, other than that, they're, right where they need to be. Any questions on golf maintenance?
No.
All right, next, the last one is, rec and parks.
The only question I had there is I saw they were going to advertise sell advertising space. Where is that revenue going to be reported if it's a successful program?
My guess would be under revenues. There's a line that says miscellaneous.
Be
Yeah.
interesting to know for a budgeting standpoint next year, because it wasn't in this year's budget.
Yeah.
As to what kind of revenue it generates and is it significant?
When I guess the other question would be when they sell these, where does it get reported? I would assume it'll be on the revenue side under rec and parks, but then again, there used to be a marketing department, and the structure of our environment has changed a little bit. Again, no big deal. It's just a matter of deciding. The operations team will decide where it needs to put that revenue. Certainly, something we can look at going forward once that program's initiated. Okay,
Uh,
Frank.
yeah, one question I had there. Uh, they on what Thursday nights or whatever they have the concert in the park. You familiar with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had heard originally this year they were going to cancel that, and then they went back on that and said yes, they're going to have it. Do you know where that would show up under expenses somewhere, or when they book the various groups to play there? How would they report that to us, or do they report that to us, or?
At the risk of taking the easy way out, I look at the line under expenses called other costs. And, if you look at what was budgeted for the month, it was 15K. If you look at what's, budgeted for last year, it was 212, for year to date at the time. So my guess is that's probably where they would put those costs. But we
And it
can
would
certainly
show up
confirm that.
when we get to that part of the year.
Yeah,
August and July and August when they have those.
right.
So you think that's probably where it'll show up. So we don't know when it's budgeted or how it's budgeted.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that, if you think about it, I dare to say I have no idea how much they would pay a vendor to come in. Let's say it's $1,000. I don't know. Well, let's say there was maybe 12 weeks.
Something like that. Yeah, 11 or 12 weeks.
10 to 12 weeks. So between $10,000 and $12,000, is probably what you're looking at.
Not a lot compared to 200 and some thousand in other costs.
Right. My guess is they could probably absorb that, even if, but then again, when the budget was planned last year, I assume that they included the, concerts in the park as part of the operating environment for rec and parks. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Any other questions? Okay. The next item on the agenda is general comments from around the room. So I'm looking at Jack. Jack, anything?
No, sir.
Bob?
Nothing.
Randy?
Nothing.
Sherry?
Nothing.
Frank?
I'm good.
All right. And just want to make sure we reflect in the notes that Colette had an excused absence today from the meeting. I have nothing else. Sorry, I kind of rushed through this. I'm going to go put a jacket on here in a minute and take some more medicine. So thank you guys for all your help. I
Wait a
will
minute.
send
I do
out
have
the
Don,
questions.
I do have a comment.
Go ahead.
I hope you're feeling better.
Oh, actually, I don't feel too bad. Just kind of
You look
congested.
good. I'll tell you, you look better on the tube than you do in person.
No, it's my lighting director takes care of that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you look good. You really do.
All right. Well, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.